Atheist Nomads, episode 235.
The podcast you're about to listen to includes cursing and talking about hoo-haws. Please be advised.
Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin. Joining me is Lauren.
Hello.
And we have Erin.
Hello.
Erin was supposed to be here 2 weeks ago, but she was sick. And then Kylie was supposed to be here today, but she's sick. But Erin was okay, so we have Erin here.
Yay.
And with a baby in the house, we are being encouraging people to not come over when they are not well.
Yes.
That's good. I mean, you don't want a sick baby.
No, not really.
Don't.
God, it's bad enough when she just has like a little sniffle and I have to suction it out of her.
Oh, gosh.
It's the end of the world.
Yeah, Kylie's now 7.5 weeks old.
Yay.
She's moving more. She's more active and alert and smiling and just adorable.
Yeah.
She's pretty adorable.
Yeah, she busted out the smile a few days ago and it was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. So how's everybody doing?
Ladies' anniversary. Oh, the Women's March anniversary.
The ladies' night anniversary.
Ladies. We're celebrating ladies.
Yep.
So, just warming up from being out in the cold and holding a sign for 2 hours on the Capitol steps. So, so my arm hurts.
Yeah.
All right, so how was the Women's March?
It was great. It was good. There was a lot more women than expected. They, of course, I think what makes Idaho's Women's March a little bit different than others is that the organizers are all in high school.
Oh.
And so that's pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So they organized, so the second year in a row organized this as the anniversary. And this would be, I think, their third event because their first one was a rally for unity right after Trump had been elected.
Okay.
Or, so right after, unfortunately, we were all sobbing because Trump had been elected.
Yeah, it's kind of a blur.
Yeah.
I don't remember those dark days.
Yeah. So talked about how 2017 was pretty rough for most everybody. And I was out there carrying the banner for the Boise Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, all inclusive.
All inclusive in parentheses.
Yes.
Oh,
So,
that's what the banner said?
yeah, it's like it's a welcoming and inclusive community.
Okay.
Which is true.
Yeah.
Which usually means that there's a bunch of retired. No, I am not going to talk trash about them. They are great, and I do love their events. And I think if there were more inclusive spaces, it would be wonderful around here. Because sometimes I keep forgetting we're in Idaho
because we're white.
Exactly.
That's what she's getting. That's what she's trying to avoid saying. It's very white.
It is so white. Yes,
So.
and it is. It was a. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it was a very white women's rally. There were quite a bit of I think most of the speakers were minorities. So that was great.
Good organizing.
Yeah, I think wonderful organizing.
Okay.
So,
except for the one that you had mentioned was doing some.
So to open it up, we had this, stereotypical woman, middle-aged. I mean, we would call her North Ender, Subaru. What did we say? Subaru with a
golden retriever.
Golden retriever, yeah. Who definitely wants to talk about being one with the earth, which is great. We should all be very, very much in tune with our environment. But she was definitely a white woman trying to be a Native American.
Okay.
And that was brought up in the very first speech.
Yeah, I got called out.
She did get called out, and it was, don't blame the children. They don't know because we're all from Idaho. But definitely ask that the next time that a Native American woman should probably be doing chants and
Native
songs.
American chants. Yeah.
Now, there are white people chants you can do that are not cultural appropriation.
Totally.
Yeah. Of course, my mind immediately goes to white power. What?
I know.
That's a terrible idea, Dustin. Oh my
That
God.
was not what I meant.
That's what I heard.
That was not what I meant. I meant
Wait, back it up. That's not what.
I was meaning things like, make love not war.
Right.
I am blanking on
Now
everything
you're on the
else.
spot. You're like, shoot.
Shoot, there really
She
aren't
brought
that
out the
many.
white power.
Crap.
But yeah, it was empowering. It was good. I mean, there was a lot that was pointed out. Hey, and we could technically be the first state to have a Native American governor woman,
Mm-hmm.
which would be awesome.
Which
and
would be amazing. She's hit national news for running. That's awesome.
So, I mean, I can't make a decision one way or the other right now because obviously I need all the facts on what her stance is. You can't just vote because she's a woman Democrat.
Yeah.
Gotta make some informed decisions here.
But...
Yes, yeah. So, it was good. It was not snowing. So last year it was awful weather.
Oh my God, knee deep.
So cold and so wet, and
it's practically spring outside right now.
Yeah, it is. So
like some of the rest of the country.
It was nice.
I think we're about on par with Florida weather right now. with their winter storm and our spring weather.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a good morning. It was a good Sunday morning.
Excellent.
Yeah.
How about you, Dustin?
I didn't go to that. I didn't find out about it until Erin said she could come over after the rally.
Yeah.
I meant, how are you doing?
I'm fine. I am fine.
Okay.
I have hit some frustration points recently. Had a bad day yesterday, but that was fine.
Then we made homemade hamburger and it was delicious with cheese ground right into it.
Oh, that's just
the cheese didn't add as much as the salt, pepper, and garlic powder.
It was delicious burger.
So we have the KitchenAid and the meat grinder attachment for it, and took the cheapest cut of meat from Albertsons because you don't grind good meat. Right. You're pre-chewing it, so it can be the toughest garbage.
Is this hamburger 100% ribeye?
Oh, gosh.
You also want something that is poor enough quality that there is a significant fat content. Yeah. Otherwise, it's not going to hold together. Anyway, so you cut it into strips so that it goes through the grinder easier. And so I cut all the strips and salt and peppered and garlic powdered all of them on all sides and then ran them through. And the meat was completely seasoned all the way through.
Yeah, because no one likes the outer crust of seasoning and then a plain.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Especially if it's a big burger, because then there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
good.
pretty good.
It was delicious. Thank you for making that.
Oh, I'm glad that turned your day around.
Oh, it did.
Good.
All right. Let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then we'll be back with news. Atheist Nomads is proudly brought to you by Archway Hosting. Check out their low-price, full-featured hosting solutions at archwayhosting.com. That's ARCHWAY hosting.com. We're also brought to you by listeners just like you. You can find out how you can become a patron at patreon.com/atheistnomads. That's patreon.com/atheistnomads. So the Women's March was, of course, also commemorating the first anniversary of Trump's inauguration. Trump was also planning a big party at $50,000 a ticket.
$50
at Mar-a-Lago.
Oh my God.
For the weekend. And I don't know if he actually made it to it. I don't honestly care. But he did have to spend some time in DC actually working.
Quote unquote working.
Because the government has shut down. Now what's interesting is he has made several statements over the last few years that this would never happen under his watch, that he can take charge and negotiate things.
Because he's a businessman.
And it is 100% the president's fault when a government shutdown happens. Yeah. Like he said about Obama in 2013. Well, a government shutdown has occurred under Trump's watch because he negotiated a deal and then changed his mind. That is literally why this has happened.
Wow.
He had negotiated a spending deal he had congressional Republicans and Democrats. Everybody was able to hammer out a deal they could all agree to. This included a compromise on immigration. It would allow for the Dreamers to stay, and it would also fund the building of Trump's wall.
Oh, God. I can't believe that's still an issue.
This was also the meeting where Trump wanted to know why we were wanting to take all these people from shithole countries like Haiti and Africa instead of people from places like Norway. Now,
are we saying
I
white?
love that
We're
he chose
saying white,
Norway, right?
yes.
One of the most socialist countries in the world.
So I want to point out a few things here. I don't take issue with him calling most of the countries in that list shitholes. But the particular list he did are the blackest countries in the world.
No, it was totally, it was...
And the alternative is the whitest country in the world.
And blondest and blue-eyed.
Now, I do also have to take issue with the fact Haiti and Africa. Africa is not a country. It is a continent with more than 1 billion people and more than 60 countries.
He's not the only one, though. I've heard a lot of people refer to Africa as a country, and it's just like, totally. You do realize that
there's a lot of countries in Africa.
There's a lot of countries. They're not all dirt poor,
right?
Starving, drought, all that 1980s, Ethiopian crap that we grew up with. It's a very diverse place, and you gotta treat it like a continent, not even a country.
And one of the things that these shithole countries in Africa and Haiti, which Haiti is a shithole.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, much of Africa is shitholes. They are
shitholes. It's plural.
Yes.
Sorry, grammar.
Yeah, sorry. But that is all because of imperialism.
Right.
The reason they are the way they are is because European imperial powers,
white people,
systematically oppressed and robbed them, stole resources, enslaved them, forced them to work, and did not allow them to actually maintain any kind of governance.
Yeah, and then they ditched and left them with
ran away.
Nothing. So nobody knows how to run a government. Well, how well do you think that's going to end up?
Haiti has a couple hundred years since basically the same scenario happened. But they also haven't really developed a good tradition of governance, which started with, a slave revolt leading to slaves taking over a country. Not criticizing these slaves for that.
No.
But them revolting and overthrowing their imperial masters and slave owners was definitely justified. But uneducated people are not usually the best choice to run a country. You generally want people who are educated and who have experience in how to run a country. Otherwise, you run into a situation like we have in the United States right now.
Otherwise, you get a Trump. Dumpy Trumpy.
Where you have an idiot, possibly senile.
He's in good health. Okay?
With absolutely
perfect health.
No
stable genius
experience to even remotely qualify him for the complexities of running the fucking United States of America. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you see the pictures of him working that were released? Oh my God, they're hilarious. There's one where he's sitting at a desk that has nothing on it, and he's just sitting on the phone with his stupid MAGA hat on. It looks like he's on hold.
In a suit with the MAGA hat.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's like, yes, I oftentimes try to get the country out of turmoil by sitting on hold on the phone with absolutely no work in front of me. It's like, yeah, that desk should be piled high with papers or something. Now, another one, it shows him joking around, like laughing with all his staff. It's like, what are you guys doing? You're doing photo ops when the government shut down?
As of recording, Sunday afternoon, he has been in touch with Republican leaders in Congress. He has not talked to any of the Democratic leaders in Congress. And the Republican leaders in Congress have refused to communicate with any of the Democratic leaders in Congress. The one thing we have that might avoid catastrophe here is a group of 20 of the more moderate senators trying to speak to both sides to try to find some kind of a compromise to at least do a short-term spending bill. But then there's also the problem that even if they do pull that off, will Paul Ryan put it up for a vote in the House? And if he does, and it passes, will Trump even sign it?
Yeah, he might change his mind.
And the Republicans are also saying they won't back anything unless Trump does. And
that's been their downfall from the beginning.
Right. Which means the Democrats need to be talking to Trump so that Trump can tell the Republicans what to do. But he needs to talk to them, and he won't. So nothing is going to happen.
Yeah, he's blamed this entire thing on the Democrats, but Democrats don't control shit right now. So how is that possible?
Yeah.
And we can I can talk flippantly about it because I don't have a government job, but for everybody out there who does, this is their freaking livelihood.
Yeah. Well, I actually was working for the federal government when they shut down. In 2013. I was on a mountain, basically.
Oh, wow.
And asked to stay for free because at that time they did close all the national parks, but this time they didn't. And again, all those people are working for free.
Yeah.
They will get paid. They will get reimbursed. I did get paid and reimbursed back for it. But it's
when you're living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, exactly.
That's oftentimes not a decent option for people.
No, not at all. And luckily, I had my housing paid for, and I lived in a place that the government paid for. So it wasn't like I was waiting to pay a mortgage payment or anything like that. So I was lucky in that sense. But that's why I got out of federal government work.
Yeah.
And this just reminds me again why I'm not going to do that again, because I'm not, I would never be an essential employee.
Yeah.
If
You'd
I
be
ever
one of
worked.
the first to go.
Yeah.
With the last government shutdown, Wesley was initially determined to be not essential. And then they decided all DoD personnel are essential. So he did have to go back to work and didn't get paid for, he didn't get his, because that was in December when that shutdown happened. And it went on for 2 weeks.
No, not in December. No? It was in October.
Oh, okay. Anyway, It wasn't until December that he actually got paid.
Right. Oh, yeah.
For work that he actually did, plus the back pay for the time that he wasn't at work, since he still had to get paid for that time, which is why this whole thing is so incredibly stupid. The fact that a government shutdown is possible is ridiculous.
Well, and all the people who are working right now, all of those politicians are getting paid right now. They're still getting paid. So
they exempt.
Yes, they are. They're essential.
They're Congress. They write all the money rules.
Which is funny because they're basically the people who don't have to worry about paying their mortgages and they get their free haircut, all those things.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, I would actually suggest, since government shutdowns are getting more and more frequent, the whole reason to have this even be possible is to do something like stop a wall from being built.
Right.
It is to stop a dictator by taking away his money.
Yeah.
Now, that all would have worked in 1810. Now, the bureaucracy, that doesn't make sense anymore.
Well,
what I think we need is a constitutional amendment that says that if Congress fails to pass a budget, they all get fired and have to go home.
Yeah.
The previous budget continues on.
Yeah.
And they have to all stand for re-election.
Right. Well, my hope...
I don't know. I think we need to burn something down, too.
my hope is that this is an eye-opener for all those people in the military who are like, Trump's going to be great. And he's doing so much for America and making it great again. And it's like, so remember when you voted for him? And now you're sitting at home hoping that you can pay those bills.
Yeah. It's... We're twiddling our thumbs here.
All right. Now, before we move on to the next story, I do want to definitely acknowledge that we have talked in this segment about a lot of highly nuanced issues and did not necessarily cover them with sufficient nuance. In particular, the shithole country part. There may not have been sufficient nuance on some of that. What he said was terrible and horrible and racist, and
that's what we were acknowledging.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Even the bits that are true with statements like that were ignorant and misguided in the way they were said.
And just mean.
And it is completely unacceptable that the president of the United States would ever say something like that.
Well, and be just so blatantly racist.
Yeah.
And awful.
Yeah. Anyway, so continuing along with awful, Trump's Department of Health and Human Services is working on an overhaul of its civil rights office. This is going to include some...
Feels like an oxymoron, right?
They are going to be... they're writing new policies to provide additional guidance on how to enforce things, and they are creating a third office within the Civil Rights Office, a co-equal third group that will be there to protect healthcare workers and their religious liberty.
No! Let it die. I have to freaking send my contraceptive stuff to a different insurance, which is a huge pain in the butt, all because of this stupid rule.
One of my coworkers got sent to collections because they had a hard time figuring out how to bill the contraceptive payment program.
Yeah, because it's oftentimes wrapped up in a wellness visit, which is fully paid by most insurances. It's just...
I have a coworker whose daughter is prescribed hormonal contraceptives for non-birth control purposes. So the contraceptive payment program won't cover it because it's not for contraceptives, and the regular insurance won't cover it because they're contraceptives.
Oh, well.
Okay, somebody better fucking pay it.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this office is going to exist to investigate claims from healthcare workers that they were discriminated against for refusing to do things that violated their religious views. Now,
what a great way to spend money.
This is specifically targeting abortion, but will also include things like transgender care and...
Yeah, how many transgender people get refused a medical service every year?
A lot.
Like, tons. I mean, if you're presenting as a man and you show up with ovarian cancer, there are doctors who will just blatantly turn you away. It's like, that's not right. But they have their rights.
We also have just a system where, like, the laboratory information system I work with, the options for the patient's sex, male, female, unknown. Unknown means you get no reference ranges. Male and female have different reference ranges. There is no option for flagging it that, certain tests might not actually follow the normal reference ranges because you are in a particular situation where you have to hope that your doctor is paying close enough attention to actually manage your care.
Yeah.
No, man, this is terrible. This is because
it's the government being able to discriminate, and that's goes against everything we stand for.
It's
right?
worse than that. It's people involved in emergency medical care being free to discriminate. We already have a system where nobody will ever force a doctor or a nurse to do something, actively participate in something they believe is wrong. And that is arguably an important thing to have because you could potentially run into a scenario where administration is trying to force a doctor into doing something that is unethical, and a doctor needs to be able to stand up and say no. Well, that gets abused when the doctor just doesn't want to do it because, ew, gross.
Yeah.
But what this is really there for is the person working the registration counter.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't figure out how to register you because you're evil. So I'm sorry, you can't get service.
Yeah.
That's what this comes down to.
Right. I'm just thinking about that woman who refused to issue marriage certificates.
Yeah.
Mhm.
the clerk, who's now running for Senate or something.
I think state Senate.
State Senate.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a wonderful attempt to take something awesome like a civil rights office to ensure that patients aren't being discriminated against and turning it into something grotesque and horrible. Sticking with the dumpster fire that is Trump.
The Trumpster fire.
It has now come out that he had a year-long affair with a porn star in 2006 while Melania was pregnant with their child.
Well, yeah, that's because she was gross and he couldn't touch her.
At one point,
Quote,
he
unquote.
tried to get her to bring a friend for a threesome. The friend was grossed out by the mere thought. And during the campaign last year, Trump allegedly, through his lawyer, who was using a synonym and a shell company, gave her $130,000 of hush money.
Nice. Pays off to be a
Hooker? Sorry, she's not a hooker.
No, she's a porn
no.
star.
She's a porn star.
She's an artist. But no, seriously, being the president's side piece, or even just a billionaire side piece.
Yeah, I'm really thinking about like becoming a mistress for Republican because
Yeah, is
they're
there,
really
like, a
getting
list?
paid these year.
Well,
Like this year, last year.
some are. She got paid well.
Yeah.
The
I would have held out for more.
$500,000.
Yeah, for freaking Trump.
Yeah,
Could ruin his life.
First
Oh
of-
wait, except for nobody cares.
and basically now they're all looking at her like, ew.
yeah.
You let that touch you?
Gross.
Yuck.
and this is Trump who said that.
She just peed on him. That's-
But this is Trump who said that he could shoot a man in broad daylight in the middle of Times Square and nobody would care.
And no one cared that he said that, and he still got elected.
Yeah. Okay, so in some cases, being the piece on the side gets you some extra money to keep quiet. But not all mistresses of Republican politicians or future politicians turn out so lucky. Missouri Governor Eric Greitens has admitted now to having a extramarital affair after his mistress, who he had threatened and blackmailed, was saying he would release a naked picture he took of her without her consent.
Ugh.
She went ahead and talked to the media.
Good.
Anonymously, but yeah.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Isn't that a crime?
Yeah.
Well, I believe
Blackmail's a
is.
crime.
I mean, and then
Yeah.
you didn't consent to having a nude picture taken. Wasn't that Playboy model just got in a whole bunch of trouble because she took a picture of a woman, rightly so, got in a lot of trouble for taking a picture of a woman naked in a gym locker room
And making fun of her.
and making fun of her and posting it.
True.
Yeah. The governor, of course, in his apology said, "This was a deeply personal mistake." Wait, no, this wasn't the governor. This was a joint statement between he and his wife.
Oh.
This was a deeply personal mistake. Eric took responsibility, and we dealt with this together, honestly and privately.
Did they also ask forgiveness from Jesus and everything has been absolved?
I am sure they did.
Well, then we're good.
And actually, the person who went to the media first wasn't actually the mistress. It was her ex-husband.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, because she had told him about going to the, at that point, soon to become governor's house, where he bound her to a piece of exercise equipment and blindfolded her.
Oh, God.
Ew.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 What state is this?
Missouri.
Okay, vote him out.
well.
Vote him out.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Since-
He was elected in 2016, so he should be up for re-election here in way too long.
Yep. Ugh. Okay. Moving on.
Okay, moving on
Oh my
to James Dobson, evangelist and president and founder of Focus on the Family.
Oh, this guy. Okay.
He is somebody who I grew up getting to hear clips from as he would talk about how to be good children. He is now calling on all good Christians to fast and pray to save Trump from impeachment.
Wow, that is getting desperate. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers.
Oh, fasting and prayer. That's when it gets really serious because, you know, if God isn't going to listen to your prayer, he will if you're really hungry.
Right? I mean, how does that work?
It's your sacrifice.
So God answers your prayers. Well, only certain ones.
So he hasn't been answering our prayers, so we better tell him we're real serious.
We're serious. I'm starving
We are
here.
not going to have the KFC and the McDonald's.
So this, I'm kind of wondering, is this going to get to the point where when like the articles of impeachment are actually filed and moving through committee, that they're going to get really serious and start killing themselves?
I was just going to say sacrifice.
Because if you look at the Old Testament, if you go true Old Testament,
They're going to go deep.
God only really listens when people die.
Oh no, and it's going to be like, I sacrifice my children type thing.
Well, that's if you're really serious. Really serious.
Not really serious, like really serious is that I'm going
we sound
to
like a bunch of third graders. really serious.
Like that's the level of seriousness of you are the king and you're watching as your army is being completely destroyed by an enemy and they're about to conquer your land and kill all your men and rape all your women, and you sacrifice your child and then you win.
Sounds like a Game of Thrones. Ooh.
Yeah. It's in the Bible.
Yeah.
In the Bible.
Yep.
I do have to laugh about that because it's like, first of all, good Christians, he'll hear your prayers. Well, we haven't been good enough, so now we're going to fast. Well, that's not working either, so now we're going to have to do some like real serious shit.
Let's do some animal sacrifices.
That's what I was thinking too.
Let's up it to some murdering. Because, good Christian.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the Old Testament. That doesn't count anymore.
Unless you start getting really serious.
Really serious.
Really serious.
Right. Because obviously the Old Testament...
Because you really like Jesus.
Obviously the Old Testament counts because they have a serious problem with men getting it on with each other.
Oh yeah, homosexuality or whatever.
It's true. Men like each other. They don't like that.
Well, it's a pick and choose now.
Now, then there's State District Judge Jack Robinson of Como County, Texas.
Ooh, this can't be good.
Mm-mm.
He was presiding over a trial against a woman facing pretty serious charges involving human trafficking of a teenage girl.
Oh, boo.
The sale or purchase of a child.
Oh, no.
Boo.
And, of course, making this teenage girl have sex with people for money.
Ugh. Was this her daughter?
I
Fingers crossed.
don't know that.
Ugh.
So they get through the trial. The jury is off deliberating. And the judge went into the jury chamber and apologized for interrupting, but said, when God tells me I got to do something, I got to do it.
Oh,
and then he told them that God told him that she was not guilty.
How much did God pay him? Oh, isn't that a mistrial?
Well,
how is
A
this person
judge cannot influence a jury.
that is jury tampering.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Jury tampering isn't necessarily a mistrial unless it sways the decision of the jury. But it is definitely illegal, if not a very, very serious felony. The jury came back with a decent
They still found her
ruling.
guilty, right?
They found her. Well, they found her guilty on the human sex trafficking. Or at least human trafficking. They sentenced her to 25 years in prison, but they did find her not guilty on a separate charge of sale or purchase of a child.
Okay.
And the judge, of course, got himself into some definite trouble. So the defendant's attorney asked for a mistrial, which is odd because the judge was tampering with the jury in the defendant's favor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if anything, the prosecution should have, but they didn't. And this judge got a reprimand in 2011. That was for improperly jailing a grandfather who had called him a fool for a ruling in a child custody case. And the Judicial Ethics Commission will be reviewing this case.
God, he shouldn't be a judge.
No.
My question,
There's crossing a line, and he crossed it, man.
my wonder is, does he have something to do with this trafficking of children?
Okay,
Is he a pedophile?
It's funny that you mentioned that because I've been watching a lot of Psych and a lot of Monk. I've been watching a lot of crime shows.
Yeah.
And so like my mind immediately turns as like, what could turn this into a good episode? And that is totally the twist.
Yeah.
It was the judge who was buying the girl. Gasp.
And he didn't want it to come out.
Okay, so that's not true at all. So don't ever.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know.
Fantasy
This
world.
is all hypothetical.
Just like we don't know if the girl is being trafficked was the daughter of the defendant or not.
Right.
That is not a detail that was in the article that we were using as our source material.
This is just our Psych episode thought.
We also do not know whether or not the judge was a customer.
Right. Or Law and Order SVU.
Oh, yeah. I can't watch that show anymore, though.
No,
it's too disturbing.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit like, how much more?
But this is totally an SVU episode.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. We are going to take a second break. I'm going to grab another beer, and we'll be back with the rest of the news. We love hearing from our listeners. You can email us at contact@atheistnomads.com, tweet us at atheistnomads, send us a message on our Facebook page at facebook.com/atheistnomads, or better yet, call us and leave us a message at 541-203-0666. We might even play it on the show. You can also help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcast directory of choice. A gay couple from Australia got married last fall in Pennsylvania. And this would have been before same-sex marriage was legal in Australia, and they had a bunch of friends and family in Pennsylvania, so they chose that destination for their wedding. And they designed their program, set it up with Vistaprint to get 100 copies of the program made, and instead they got 100 copies of a evangelical anti-gay pamphlet.
What the hell?
Wow, that took some really mean-spirited balls.
Right.
So they have sued.
Good.
Specifically for breach of contract.
That's rude and humiliating. And
this is a big enough deal that Vistaprint's CEO issued a press release about this, saying they found out on January 16, presumably when they got served with the lawsuit. And Vistaprint is shocked this would happen. They support diversity. They would never want anything like this to happen, and they've been very happy to be working with same-sex couples on, getting programs and any printed materials they need for their weddings. So they have been very upfront and forward with trying to be as open and welcoming as they can to as many people as possible. That's just good business. You don't want to piss off a segment of the population. And if you print stuff, if you make anything that could be good for a wedding, when same-sex marriage was legalized in the United States, that would be the time to be trying to be as friendly to the LGBT community as you can.
Smart business move.
Yeah.
So this is probably one rogue person.
Well, as they've investigated so far, they have found that it was a contractor that was actually fulfilling that order.
Like an outside person?
An outside party that Vistaprint contracted to fill that order.
Which makes sense because Vistaprint can't have actual stores in every city. So they would probably hire out local contractors to... It's like the flowers. 1-800-Flowers doesn't actually have stores everywhere, so they contract out.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be surprised if Vistaprint doesn't actually have any print shops.
Yeah, but they're still obligated to follow the same contract.
Right. The whole thing with a contract is the couple entered into their agreement with Vistaprint. Vistaprint then, utilizing an agreement they had with a third party, passed on that business. But the couple's agreement was with Vistaprint. They did all of their business with Vistaprint. It is Vistaprint that is responsible for their contractor's actions. Now, they can hold their contractor accountable for that, determining, depending on how the contract is actually written. But this is bad. This is bad.
Yeah, well, I certainly hope that contractor's been hazed a little.
Oh, realistically, the contractor will probably just fire whoever did it, and everything will be fine.
Probably, but at least the person who did it should never work in that business again.
And Vistaprint has said they are working with the couple to try to figure out some way they can make things right, including what they can do to promote greater acceptance of the LGBT community.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah. So some good may come of this. It just really sucks to the day before your wedding get, you are terrible, horrible people and you're going to burn in hell with enough copies to give it to everybody at your wedding.
Yeah. Well, that's what you get for doing programs. I say just wing it.
Who needs programs?
We didn't.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
no.
Who needs
We
it?
were just out in the woods. It was about as winging it as you can get.
A young woman in Iran recently took off her hijab, put it on the end of a stick, and waved it around like a flag. Picture went viral, and she's gone missing.
Yeah.
Now, to add a little bit more detail on this, there has been a protest movement throughout Iran in recent years where one day per week they wear white hijabs, and the hijab is the headscarf. White headscarf instead of the traditional black headscarf. They are following the letter of the law while still saying, fuck you, assholes.
Yeah.
Well,
wow, that's awesome.
She took off the white headscarf, and so already protesting, and then waved that as a flag of protest.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not surprising she went missing.
That action that shouldn't get somebody killed, though. I mean, that's what happened.
A little bit closer to home, recently, someone painted "God is Dead" onto the Mormon chapel on Harrison Street in Twin Falls.
Yeah, I heard about that. And it's even just with like all the atheist friends and stuff, everybody was like, yeah, no, you don't do that.
No.
It was probably, the only people I can imagine actually going through with something like that are probably about 16 years old.
I know. I was going to say, that's a teenager.
That's an angry teenager who doesn't know how to express themselves, who's just being a jerk.
And right, because and probably a Mormon teenager, because an adult atheist, if they're going to be spray painting something onto a Mormon church, I would go with something like Joseph Smith is a pedophile.
Yeah.
Actually target the group, not
the generic God is dead.
Yeah, you don't quote Nietzsche.
Unless you're a really woke teenager.
Yeah. Now, this is Twin Falls, which in the last decade has had numerous cases of vandalism against Mormon churches. We also talked about Twin Falls back in October when there was the 4-foot cross draped in bacon and pig parts in the Islamic Center's parking lot.
There's been a lot of anti-Muslim vandalism in Twin Falls. And then, but they do have a Mormon temple there, so there's a lot of anti-Mormon, feelings. And there are ways to deal with that, and vandalism is not one of them. Because then it just makes you look like a douchebag.
Yeah. Now, my guess would be that they have just there's a little bit of a culture of vandalism growing, that all of these are being done by different people. And for some reason, it's a thing people do in Twin Falls.
A little bit here, too.
Yeah, but not much.
But again, most of it's just harmless teenagers saying, fuck the police, or, we did have that one vandalism of the Goodness Land where they... But I think people see it as a way of making a mark without doing any actual permanent damage. But they don't realize how terrifying that can be to the population that's being targeted. So yeah, it's not good.
It'll be interesting if they ever find out who has done any of this, because nobody's ever been arrested for any of them, or at least not this particular case. Or
well, that's probably because the police did what we did, which is like, oh, it's probably just some teenager. When especially like that cross one, that was bad. God is Dead is a very generic blanket thing to say. It wasn't targeting any particular group, but that cross one with the bacon and stuff, that was like, okay, this is getting creepy.
Yeah. Vandalism's not cool. If you are mad about religion and religious groups, which you should be, that's not how to... Well, you shouldn't be mad at the group, not the people, and don't attack the property. It doesn't do anybody any good.
She's got both feet stuck in one leg.
Oops.
I'm watching this.
I thought
what did she do there?
Well, when I put the pants on, they were both going to one leg. I thought I'd fixed it.
You did not, sir. You did not. She's all sorts of wonky here.
Oops. And I'm going to go ahead and leave that in.
Okay. All right,
I'm
baby.
sorry. I'm sorry, Kylie.
Like, it's fine.
Oh, there you go. Now you can kick your legs. All right. Sorry. Back to the show. I just thought that was funny. I'm like, wait a second. Whoever put these pants on?
That was me. Somebody tweeted recently that the Satanic Temple needs to be burned down.
Oh.
For ritual sacrifices, or
just because they're evil?
Oh.
Yeah. This actually got started by a former child actor, Corey Feldman.
Oh gosh.
Ranting about satanic nutbags. And he retweeted a call to burn down their headquarters.
Oh my gosh.
So, do you want to guess how all of this ended? Lucian Greaves, head of the Satanic Temple, was removed from Twitter.
Oh.
Not Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
I feel like he needs a break. Like he just needs a break from...
Yeah, but not by taking him off Twitter.
No. I'm talking about Corey Feldman needs a break from Twitter.
Corey Feldman needs a break from life.
No, I mean,
that's
no. Wait. Let's back that up. I think he just needs, he needs to go to a beach. He needs to listen to the ocean waves and just do some deep breathing and just have a break. Just have a break.
All right, she's getting wiggly. I'm going to move real quick.
Okay. Yeah, the original tweet was, I doubt nothing anymore. I have them. In Salem, Massachusetts, opened a satanic church last year. The witches are evil, and Satanists and cults are very real. With a church like this, or a church like this should not exist. Burn it. Blame Hillary. I don't care. It's got to go. If anyone likes this idea, they're FKED. So in response to getting removed from Twitter, Lucian Greaves is suing Twitter, or at least threatening to.
So, I mean, he got removed because he was like, hey, that's not cool. That's not a cool idea.
Well,
what was his response that got him removed?
So he and several other people reported these tweets as being abusive and a violation of the terms of service.
Right.
Twitter's response is, no, they're not.
Okay.
So Greaves tweeted about Twitter saying that arson is not a violation of the terms of service. That got reported, and Twitter decided that was a violation of the terms of service.
Yeah, well, it sounds like Twitter's picking and choosing right now. And I feel like they thought that Corey Feldman's was getting enough traction because he's a quote unquote celebrity that they didn't want to take it down. Anyway, you can't pick and choose Twitter.
On the 16th, Twitter decided that original post violated their rules against abusive behavior.
Yeah.
So it appears they had a change of heart.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm sure because people called them out on their hypocrisy.
Well, and especially when you threaten a lawsuit and then
right,
it starts going around the news.
Like this. And then we just start talking about it, and then they're like, oh no, we gotta save face.
And for our final story, NASA has announced that the super blue blood moon eclipse is not a sign of the end of the world. And we will all be fine.
Oh, thank you for clearing that up, NASA. I really appreciate that. They made the official statement, right?
Official statement.
Official statement.
On January 31st, we will have, for the first time in 150 years, a supermoon, meaning it's at the closest point in its elliptical cycle or orbit, a blue moon, a blood moon, and a lunar eclipse, all happening simultaneously.
Interesting. Now, blue moon, I heard, has nothing to do with color, but the fact that there's 2 moons in 1 month.
Yes.
Okay. Or 2 full moons in 1 month.
Yes. So that is a completely arbitrary and meaningless thing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so the world's not going to end officially. Thank goodness. How many people are freaking out about it, though? Like a lot. Enough that NASA has to make a statement.
Yeah. So some people are saying that this is a sign of the apocalypse and Jesus will return. This is something that happens approximately every 150 years. Yes, it is rare for all of this to happen together, but some of the items are arbitrary and the rest are just coincidence.
Right.
And even the arbitrary ones are still coincidence.
Listen, we're still going to have some crazy stuff going on. People are going to be a little loopy. We're probably all going to have a bad day and night.
Oh, but this is going to actually coincide within a few days of a massive asteroid. 2009 AJ-129 making its closest approach to Earth on February 4. And so people are afraid that this rare cosmic event is going to redirect the asteroid and it will crash into the Earth.
That seems very scary and anxiety producing. I choose not to believe any of it.
Well, that is the smart choice because the possibility of a collision between that asteroid and the Earth is is 0 for at least the next 100 years. And that the asteroid at its closest point will still be 2.6 million miles away from Earth. That is 10 times the distance between the moon and Earth.
Oh, good. That seems far away.
Which actually means the fact that the moon will be slightly closer to Earth than usual would lessen its effect on the asteroid because the moon will be closer to the Earth, thus further from the asteroid.
Yeah, good.
Or it's insane. That's really all it comes down to.
Stop being insane. I'm sorry. People just stop saying silly things and thinking that it's all tied to some dude who's not coming back. Yeah.
All right. Well, that is the end of the news. We don't really have any feedback that. All right, we've been busy with the baby. I might have missed something. I am not certain. Yeah. So no feedback that we're going to share. Kylie was nice and calm right up until that point where I was apologizing about her legs both being in one pant leg. And of course that appeared to have upset her. So Lauren got up at that point, but she was sleeping all the way through the rest of the episode. So that was pretty awesome.
Nice.
So Kylie, thank you so much for being calm for the most part. Lauren, who is back in the room now, thank you for taking part.
Yeah.
And Aaron, thank you for joining us on such very short notice.
Thanks for having me. Maybe let's say, fingers crossed, this may be the last one that I can do. I might be in Oregon after this. Who knows? Yay!
Well, okay, if you get to the beach, we might have to go and do a remote episode with you.
Well, that's what I keep telling everybody. I'm like, listen, this could be your chance to have that one friend on the Oregon coast that you come and visit. So I might have to start scheduling people which week they can come. So exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, remember, not all those who wander are lost. Thank you for listening to another episode of Atheist Nomads. You can find show notes and contact information at atheistnomads.com. Follow us on Twitter at Atheist Nomads, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Atheist Nomads. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice, and while you're there, feel free to leave us a review. Theme music is courtesy of Sturdy Fred. Until next time, this has been the Atheist Nomads.